Good morning for elementary students. Today is Tuesday, November 19th.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
In 2005, I finally got my first manuscript sold, and it was for a picture book about a little red devil. It was called The Devil You Know, published at Walker Books. Cute little mischievous devil causing trouble for a family. I thought it was a lot of fun and funny and goofy. Not a hugely popular book, but it looked sort of like a graphic novel. Now, I wasn't thinking of comics or graphic novels, but when I broke the book into little sections, it did kind of break into panels. And in my same state is an author with my same last name, Shannon Hale, who I had never met before. We're not related, but she was a big deal. Her first book had just come out, which was The Goose Girl from Bloomsbury. And I met her at one of these writing conferences when my first book had come out, and I felt like I was hot stuff. And she was collecting books for donations, for charity. She said, hey, all local authors, can you give me a bunch of books? We're going to donate them. So I gave her one of my books about this little red devil. It wasn't doing very well, so I had lots to give away. And she looked at it, and she said, this looks like a graphic novel. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said, would you like to do a graphic novel? And I said, I like picture books. I like paintings, so no. And she said, that's too bad, because my husband and I have written a graphic novel, and we want to find an illustrator for it. It's about Rapunzel. And I was still like, I'm not that interested. And then she said, it's about Rapunzel in the Old West. I thought, wait, really? That sounds kind of cool. Let's talk more about this. And, because she was very popular with that first book, I wanted to follow her lead and be popular too. So we just jumped in. Her publisher, Bloomsbury, had never published a graphic novel. She and her co-author, her husband, Dean Hale, had never written a graphic novel. I had never illustrated a graphic novel, and the editor had never read a graphic novel. We jumped in and just did, and it ended up being one of the hardest years of my life. I was stunned at how much work it was. I thought this was something I would do in a couple of months, and I spent a year drawing that book. And by the time it came out, it was more popular than anything I'd ever worked on. At that point, I think I'd had 2 books published, and my third was coming out, and none of those picture books did well. But the graphic novel was exciting. It was picked up by the Today Show as the book of the month. It popped up on a bunch of state reading lists. It was a Texas Mavericks book, and people were going crazy for it. We immediately did a sequel, and on the sequel, I was a little faster. It was a little less hard. And from there, I just thought, you know what? I loved drawing these fantasy characters in the Old West, but what was really fascinating to me was the Old West.
What do you get if you divide a circumference of a pumpkin by its diameter? Pumpkin pie.